Welcome to Reunite with Self Podcast. I'm your host, Ruken. Here, we will be discovering and unraveling what is truly holding you back. We will put the puzzle together and give you clarity on how and what you can do to create massive shift in your life so you start creating the life you always envisioned for yourself. There is no more waiting. Whether it is liberating from dysfunctional family patterns or parenting tools and tips that actually make the difference, we will be diving into the truth and core of things that are simple and which yet no one talks about. I will be sharing with you all the things that would have changed my life massively if I heard any one of these episodes. A new world is awakening, and true bliss, harmony, and peace is possible on this earth. And my mission is to bring you closer to that, one step at a time. In this safe space, I will hold your hand and give you courage and certainty that you can shift anything and everything in your life. It is time we break the pattern. Whether you want to be the parent you never had or make a shift in your life so you don't play small any longer, you will find the support and guidance in this space. My intention is for you to find answers within yourself while you listen to this podcast, so you feel the bliss of reuniting with your true essence, with self, with so much love and compassion and courage. From my heart to yours, let's keep it rockin'. My gorgeous listener, thank you for being here. So this episode is going to be short and sweet. I want to do shorter versions of my episodes at times, so it's easier for you if you have less time that day, so you can listen and get something and get a confirmation about something you're going through, get some clarity, some guidance, some inspiration with that clarity so you make the right decisions for your life. So today's episode is after a lot of challenge, confusion, and resistance around one emotion that I've had in my life, which is anger. Anger is an emotion that I'm always in the works, like I'm always recovering, but I am fully, my intention is to fully embrace my anger, own my anger, express my anger in a healthy way, but express. When I say healthy, it does not mean that I repress my anger. Anger is a very valuable emotion. It's an energy that actually is the force, is the push to make the greatest transformations on the planet. It's how big leaders, big or small, any leader, anyone who is fed up with something, some kind of injustice, and they're angry with it. They're so angry with it, and they do not have any tolerance for that BS, so they go on to make a change. They work for that change. They are dedicated and committed to make that change. And it comes from anger, my friends. So when you own the emotion, when you own anger, and when you can actually transform it into something great, it's really a very empowering, a very essential, a very sacred emotion. If it was given to us, it serves something for sure. But of course, I'm talking to all the healthy, empathetic, compassionate souls. Your anger is precious. There is no need to suppress or repress or avoid or ignore or, find excuses for other people's BS. Your anger is like any other emotion, is your compass. It's telling you something, and it gets you to truth. So this week's episode, our topic is, how can you spot when someone crosses your boundary? This is very essential because I used to have a difficult time to identify if did this person do something to me, to like, did they cross my boundary? Did they really do something that I have the right to be pissed off? You know, we have this conversation like as if like we feel the anger and then we are like, am I allowed? Like, did they really do something? Should I justify it? I'm trying to justify it to myself. Can I talk about it to my friend or a family member or my lover, like to justify that this person did something really like, do I get to curse? Yes. Like, were they being an asshole? Like, was it really disrespectful or crossing my boundary? Or is it really something that I would not do to anyone? Like, does it make sense to me that they said that? Or we'll go through the examples now. So I want to go through 3 ways that you can spot when someone crosses your boundary, that you can be sure that they have crossed your boundary. So the first one is they do or say something or not do something that they're supposed to do, and you feel angry or frustrated or both. Frustrated usually sometimes is something, if it's something repetitive, like you know the person and like, you know, or you have been in that situation like far too many times and you become frustrated. But usually the first thing, if someone crosses your boundary, any kind of boundary, like mental, physical, emotional, spiritual boundary, all of the above, one of the above, 3 of the above, like 2 of the above, whatever. If someone crosses your sacred boundary, because your boundaries are sacred and they are there, and you feel into them, like you know your boundaries. Even if you don't know like consciously, logically, left brain, even if you don't know it like that, your body knows. Your emotions tell that to you. So if you feel anger, it shows you. That is your compass. If you feel angry when someone does something or says something or does not do something that they promised or they were supposed to, and you feel angry, like they were supposed to hand in the work that you paid for until that deadline. If someone said something to you at the grocery store checkout, if someone does something in traffic that you know is like you wouldn't do to anyone, like it doesn't make sense, and you feel angry, it's usually like you feel redness on your cheeks, or it's like a rush of heat on your skin, like your face, your neck. You can like really physically feel it in your body too. You feel this thing in your stomach, like you want to like go and punch someone. Like not even that, but you feel like this frustration, this anger, like your body is tense. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Like when you feel that, you have to follow it. Not that you follow and go do something. You know that this person has crossed your boundary. And what's so valuable in that situation? Why am I talking about this in the first place? It's because it's one thing that someone does something to you, but it's another thing that you let that person do that to you and be confused or find excuses or ignore, or, you know, like try to justify their behavior or like whatever it is. But when you feel anger, it shows you that this person has crossed your boundary, because anger happens when there is an injustice. And injustice is what? Someone crossing other person's boundary that they're not supposed to, that they can't, that is not allowed. It's not okay. We have to raise our standards and not tolerate BS. It doesn't mean that we have to fight back each time or something, but I'm saying you can express your emotion. You can express your anger in a way that you are safe and that does not cross anyone's boundary either, but you can express it. And the first thing is you being sure that that person is crossing your boundary. What happens is when you accept your own emotion and embrace and own your emotion, like no bullshit, that automatically starts changing and transforming the emotion. Like you start letting it go when you actually own the emotion without trying to ignore it or repress it or find excuses for the other person's behavior or ignore it, whatever it is. Someone crossed your boundary when you feel angry. 2, someone asks something and you feel icky or you pause or you don't feel like your body does not feel like, even your voice, your throat does not feel like answering that question. It can even be not like a direct question, but it can even be like asking for a confirmation for a comment that they make, like some kind of information about you. It can even ask for you to confirm, like with a nod or smile, like a joke or whatever. But if someone asks you something inappropriate, like it's like crossing your boundary, it's something that you would not ask the person in that situation in that way, like you wouldn't even care, like you wouldn't even bother or be curious about it, or you wouldn't do it. If someone asks you something or asks approval from you about some kind of information about yourself and you feel like icky to answer it, like your body's first reaction is not like, you will not feel seen or heard by answering that question. It's not something you want to share. It doesn't really mean anything for you to share that information. It doesn't have to be a private thing, by the way. It doesn't need to be something like whatever, like some kind of something about your private life, about your romantic relationship, if you're going to have a baby or not. It's not about like, how much money you have in your bank account. It doesn't have to be that private. It's just something that does not, like, your body is telling you. It does not need to be logically appropriate or inappropriate question. Your body is telling you. That means your boundary is being crossed. You don't have to answer these questions. You don't have to act like all is good, like smiling and nodding and approving, because that approving actually gets you really frustrated afterwards. You're like, why did I just let it go? Like, why did I act like it was okay for me? Because it wasn't. It's not that they do that, but it's the fact that I let it go. I let it be. That bothers me so much. It's not that what they do, but it's just that I let it go. I let it be. I act as if everything is okay and harmonious and, acceptable. It's not. Our boundaries were crossed over and over again as we were babies, toddlers, children. So we are not taught how to identify when our boundaries crossed. This is not taught to us. This is not something that we practice. So we have to learn it as adults. And the best way to identify and understand it is always following your body and your emotion. Follow your body, follow your emotion. Do not try to understand it logically, because especially if you are a recovering codependent, you will try to over-explain, try to justify what you felt. And the other person or the other people, like whoever you're talking to, your friend, they do not necessarily need to understand and believe and confirm to you that your boundary was crossed, because you are going through it yourself. Everyone's story is different. No one can really truly understand what you go through, because you have your own history with all its details, with all the abuse, the buttons that were put in your body by, people with narcissistic tendencies, blah, blah, blah. So when someone crosses your boundary, that it's something you would not do to the other person. You don't need to justify it with logical reasoning. You just know it's not acceptable. Okay, so third way that you can spot when someone crosses your boundary. Someone does something, reveals an information, does anything that you thought were private between you two or private to yourself, and you feel vulnerable to outside without your consent or approval. So the person does something, shares an information with other people, and it was something like close to your heart, something private, something you would not necessarily share, and they do this without your consent or approval. And this can be like so many things. It doesn't have to be someone doing something to reveal to the third people, but it's just something that you just feel naked. You just feel like this was not something I would necessarily share with other people. This was not something that I would put myself through myself, but you are doing it. Like you are the one choosing to do it. This is huge. It can be so many things, but this is a sign that someone is crossing your boundary, because your information, your privacy is you. However you want to show yourself to the world is your choice. So if you share anything with someone and they just make a joke about it in front of people, or reveal that information somehow, or pinpoint like some kind of way that makes you feel like icky or uncomfortable, or you feel naked and you feel like awkward, that is a sign that someone has just crossed your effing boundary. And that is not acceptable. That is not something you have to tolerate. So, my love, that's it for today. I guess I kept it much shorter this time. So these are 3 ways that you can spot if someone has crossed your boundary. Be certain of yourself. Self-certainty is the most important thing in the world. Maybe, it's the most important feeling, I believe. We have to be certain of our own emotions, our own wants and desires and everything. And you be your best friend and look out for yourself, and always give confirmation to yourself when you feel any kind of anger or frustration or vulnerability. You give that confirmation to yourself, and you show compassion to yourself. You are human. It just shows the beauty of your heart when you feel these emotions. I love you so much. I will see you on the next one. My gorgeous listener, if you had any takeaways from this episode or from this podcast in general, I would love to know. Please share this episode with a few loved ones right now. You never know how they can benefit from something so small. And please take a screenshot of this episode and share on IG, tagging me at Khevella. That is Khewella. Khevella. That is my goddess wear brand, my Instagram page. I would love to know what your takeaway was, or something you found inspirational, or a confirmation you believe in as well. That would make my day. And you can always DM me if you have a topic or a certain question in mind that you want me to talk about. And give me a 5-star rating if you feel like it. That would help this podcast immensely to get the word out. I love you. See you on the next one. I want to see you shine your brightest.